You are not learning, you're watching someone else learn. And there's a difference. A real one, bruh. The kind that's easy to miss because the whole thing feels productive. You're watching someone build a beautiful medieval castle, or a perfect survival base, or some insane redstone contraption, and your brain is doing this thing where it convinces you that absorbing information is the same as doing something with it. It isn't. And somewhere underneath all of that, you already know that. Which is a strange feeling, because the tutorials aren't bad. The people making them are genuinely talented, and yet something about the way we use them has quietly become a way of avoiding the one thing we actually came here to do. And I noticed something weird. When you're not following a tutorial, the game feels completely different, almost uncomfortable at first, because there's no voice telling you what to do next, no progress bar, no satisfying moment where you finish step 14 and unlock step 15. It's just you and a world and the quiet question of what do you actually want to make? That question is harder than it sounds. Here's the thing about tutorials, and this applies way beyond Minecraft, by the way. They are designed to give you a feeling of momentum without requiring you to generate any of your own. Someone else has already solved the problem. Someone else has already made the decisions. All you have to do is follow along, and your brain gets little hits of satisfaction the whole way through. And the strange part is that's almost more comfortable than actual creativity, because when you create something yourself, you have to sit with uncertainty. You have to not know how it's going to turn out. You have to make choices that might be wrong and live with that and keep building anyway. And for a lot of people, that discomfort is just uncomfortable enough to make the tutorial more appealing every time. So you watch another one, and then another one, and your knowledge of how other people build things grows and grows. But your ability to build something yourself, something that came from your own imagination, barely moves. I think about this one specific thing that happens in creative hobbies. People call it being in consumption mode versus creation mode. And the tricky part is that consumption mode disguises itself really well. It wears the costume of learning. It feels like preparation. It feels like you're getting ready to make something, but you never quite feel ready, and so you never quite start. Maybe you've noticed this too. You've watched enough tutorials that you understand a lot of the theory. You know how lighting works in builds. You understand color palettes. You could probably explain layering and depth to someone else, but your own world, still kind of flat, still kind of simple. Not because you lack knowledge, but because knowledge and doing are two entirely different muscles, and tutorials, as useful as they are, can accidentally train you to be a really good watcher. Bro, think about that for a second. There are people who have spent hundreds of hours watching Minecraft content, build showcases, tutorials, let's plays, and they genuinely love the game. But when they sit down to actually build something, they don't know where to start. Not because they haven't learned enough, but because they've never practiced starting. Starting is a skill. Generating your own ideas is a skill. Sitting with a blank canvas and not immediately reaching for someone else's blueprint, that is a skill, and it doesn't develop from watching. It only develops from doing. Here's where it gets interesting though. The tutorials aren't really the problem. Using them isn't wrong. Watching someone else's process can be genuinely inspiring. The issue isn't the tutorials themselves. It's the relationship you have with them. If you watch a tutorial and then immediately open your own world and try to build something, even something bad, even something completely different, the tutorial has done its job. It sparked something. It gave you a direction. That's healthy. But if you watch a tutorial and then watch another tutorial and then maybe bookmark a third one to watch later and then close the game entirely because you're a little tired and maybe you'll actually build tomorrow, then the tutorial has become a substitute for the thing you were supposed to use it for. And the weird part is, nobody really talks about this, because watching tutorials feels so clearly like a step toward creating. It feels like progress, but sometimes it's actually a way of indefinitely delaying the part that makes you feel vulnerable. Creativity requires you to be bad at something first. That's not a motivational line. That's just literally how it works. Your first build is going to be rough. Your proportion proportions will be off. Your color choices will be bland. The thing you imagined in your head will look nothing like what you actually made, and that gap between the vision and the result is uncomfortable in a way that's hard to describe. But here's the thing, that gap is where improvement lies. Every good builder you admire, every person whose tutorial you've watched, they spent a lot of time in that gap, building bad things, finishing bad things, looking at bad things they made and thinking, okay, what would make this better? And then building again. You don't get to skip that part. Tutorials can't give it to you. All the information in the world can't give it to you. You have to earn it by actually making stuff, including stuff that doesn't work. There's a concept in psychology sometimes called passive engagement. The idea that your brain can be fully occupied with something without actually producing anything. You're engaged, you're interested, you're learning, but you're not generating, you're not making decisions, you're not creating, and modern life has become incredibly good at giving us passive engagement. You can spend an entire evening completely occupied, watching, scrolling, reading, listening, and get to midnight having produced nothing. Not because you're lazy, but because the options for passive engagement are so endless and so comfortable that it's very easy to never switch modes at all. Minecraft tutorials are a small version of that, a microcosm. You can spend a whole evening watching people play a creative game without being creative yourself and still feel like you were doing something. I think the deeper thing here, and this is where it gets a little philosophical, is that a lot of us have quietly become uncomfortable with unstructured creative time. We want to be building, but we also want someone to tell us what to build and how. Because that way, if it doesn't turn out great, it's kind of not our fault. We were following instructions. The template was the problem, not us. But if you build something from your own imagination and it looks bad, that's just you, your taste, your limitations. And that's a harder thing to sit with. So unconsciously, we stay in tutorial mode. We stay in the watching phase. Because as long as we're preparing, we haven't failed yet. And the more you think about it, the more you realize that this extends everywhere. People who have every recipe saved but never cook. People who follow fitness accounts but never train. People who fill notebooks with plans but never begin the project. It's the same mechanism. Preparation that never converts into action, because action carries risk and preparation doesn't. The Minecraft tutorial rabbit hole is a friendly, low-stakes version of something humans do constantly, and recognizing it in a small place, like here, like this game, is actually a really useful thing. Because if you can notice the pattern in something that doesn't matter much, you might start to notice it in the places that matter a lot. So here's what I've been thinking about while just wandering around in this world. What if you gave yourself one session, just one, where you don't look anything up, where you don't open a tutorial, where you just pick a spot and start building something and see what happens? It'll probably look rough. The proportions will be weird. You'll run out of materials and have to improvise. You'll make a wall that's too flat and a roof that's too steep and a color combination that you're not sure about. And that's fine. That's the point. Because buried in that messy, imperfect, slightly uncertain process is something tutorials can never give you. A creative decision that you made, a problem that you solved, a thing that exists because you imagined it and then made it real. Even if it looks bad, there's a version of Minecraft that's yours, not the one from the tutorial, not the reproduction of someone else's medieval castle. Yours, built from your instincts and your mistakes and your weird choices about what to put where. And you only find it by building it, not by watching someone else build theirs. I don't know. Maybe that's obvious. Maybe you already knew that. But sometimes the obvious things are the ones we keep not doing. And it's worth just sitting with that for a second. All right, I'm gonna go build something. Probably no idea what yet. That's kind of the whole point.